John and Sandra, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Martha MacCallum, live in New York. And on the story right now, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo joins us. Should the United States, think about this, boycott the Beijing Olympics because of the human rights violations against Uyghurs and the practices against Hong Kong? That would surely be a very bold, meaningful statement. So we're going to ask the former Secretary of State what he thinks the country should do now. And tailspin is how the New York Post is putting it. The nursing home scandal that is now threatening to take down Governor Cuomo. George Miles is a veteran struggling in a New York nursing home. We're going to talk to his daughter. She says that the governor is not helping her father's situation. And a story investigation into this. What happened exactly in the days and hours before the Capitol Hill riots? It is a who knew what and when and what decisions did they make question. As Speaker Pelosi calls for a 9/11 style commission, lawmakers have some questions for her. But first, a closer look today at how the pandemic is impacting the lives of Americans in ways that we don't talk about very much. Jennifer Zielke joins me in moments. She's a Tennessee mother of 4. About a year ago, she became one of the millions of women forced to leave their jobs and go back home. She's now a full-time at-home mom, and she's the teacher to her family as well. So after surpassing men in 2020 in the labor force, women's labor force participation is now at a 33-year low. But think about the ramifications for the country from all of that. RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel, also a mom. She has 2 children. She's going to weigh in on this and what is being called the she session, not the recession, but the she session. She session, she said. That's a tongue twister. So this is the crowd that turned out yesterday to cheer on former President Trump in Florida. According to the numbers, 75% of the party is looking for him to stay central in the future. So here's the big question. What does that look like? We're going to talk about that next. But first, we begin with Jennifer Zielke. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing your story with us today. So you had a job that you loved, and you were forced to go home for the best interest of your children and to take care of them. What is the financial impact of all of this on your family? How has it changed your day-to-day?
Well, financially, you get down to the bare basics. You get down to making sure you have a roof over your head, food on the table, and transportation, and everything else gets cut. I mean, losing a large chunk of income like we did, we had to make some major sacrifices. I, for one, pulled out of my retirement accounts. So I know that I created a problem for myself in the future, but this wasn't something that we could plan for.
You say that there are times when your kids will say, you know, we're out of this or we need that, Mom. How has this changed how you talk to them about that question?
You know, kids are young. They don't understand. They get in a habit, and it's hard for them to understand. Even explaining it to them, like, Mommy's at home now. They never knew what financial aspects we were in prior. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really tough, especially with them being younger. I do know that my 17-year-old daughter, we sat down and we discussed savings and budgeting. And so we felt that she was going to be a little bit more prepared than we were. But again, this was something that kind of took everybody by storm. It's been crazy.
I mean, you know, you think about, right, you go back a year and look at all of our lives and all of the things that have happened. And I do think this is one of the lasting implications on the country when you have all of these women who've made such a great contribution, like you did at your oil company, to the workforce. And of course, your children benefit so greatly from having you home. You said you had to, you know, Google things and teach yourself how to teach. You're obviously a very resourceful person, but, you know, sometimes it's like, I mean, how do you know how to teach your kids some of this stuff? I know I wouldn't.
You know, I'm held to the district standards here. Even though I'm homeschooling, I am accountable for what I teach them, and they have certain curriculum that they have to go through. So core math, oh man, let me tell you, Google every day. I was like, I don't even understand what this is. So, you know, it's tough. It's really tough. And like you said, leaving work, that was one of the hardest decisions I think I've ever made. I was one of the lucky few who can say I truly enjoyed what I did, and I worked incredibly hard to get where I was. And I knew that by leaving, there was a chance that I was not going to get back to where I was.
So what do you think about that? Will you go back? And in the field that you're in, is there any impact from this new administration on that future?
You know, it's been really tough, and I don't know what the future looks like. I was in oil and gas, and I have many, many friends and a lot of family that are impacted by the Biden administration. And you know, honestly, I would love to go back. Again, I loved what I did, but I don't see that as being an option if they completely eradicate domestic oil. I mean, there's going to be nothing for me to go back to.
Jennifer Zielke, one of the many brave and resourceful moms across this whole country who knew how to switch gears and do what's best for your family and made sacrifices along the way. Jennifer, we thank you for being with us and for your strength through all of this. And we hope you'll come back and tell us how things are going in the future. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Martha. I appreciate it.
You bet. So joining me now, another strong woman, RNC chairwoman and mother.